Is Sam your Canadian girlfriend? I wish.
No, that's Cirilio.
So has Cody just been pretty much going down and scoring every time?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I kind of expected.
Yeah. One of those you're
I
just
think
happy to be there.
yeah. Well, Will gave me some advice, and I think it was bad advice. Can you guys
What?
hear? Can you guys hear Sam now?
Listen, it's not like Will to give bad advice.
Yeah, not at all. Okay, we're good to go. All right, I'm
Yay.
Kyle. That's Sam. We're here with the All Pro, All Rookie teams. So we're gonna start with the All Rookie team and start with the quarterback, which was probably the easiest decision of the entire list.
Yep.
Brian Sharp for the Washington Redskins.
Professional
I mean,
football
there were.
team.
Oh yeah, the Washington professional football team. We don't say that word.
I need a bleep. We
Um,
need a bleep button.
yeah. So he had a great year. Threw for 4,000 yards, 20 something touchdowns, not 8 interceptions. Um,
Let's see. Let me pull it up. 9 interceptions.
nine
Still not
interceptions.
bad though for a rookie. He was
Yeah.
top 10 in passing for the entire league.
Yep.
So all in all, we kind of criticized this pick after the draft was over in our preview pod, but Rebel just proven us wrong. His guy had a
Yep.
great year, so good for him.
Yeah. And so for the running back, we have Dwayne Glenn from Houston. This one was a little bit closer, I guess. It still wasn't much of a discussion. There's another guy who got flex who was in the conversation, but
Yeah, Glenn, we knew this guy was going to be good because his stats were really good, or his combine stats were good, and he was going to the Texans who desperately needed some sort of offensive identity. Um,
yeah,
and it really showed with Glenn. I think he had over 1,500 receiving yards, or excuse me, rushing
rushing
yards
yards.
and 11 touchdowns. So just a really, really solid rookie year. Um,
Yep.
and he should be the focal point of the offense for at least the next couple of years uh, until Lucia can find a decent QB and receiving option. So good for him. He had a really good year. And then
Yep.
we'll go ahead and do the flex spot here for rookie. So the flex spot, we had Oscar Tomlinson from Buffalo. Um, one of the only bright spots from this Buffalo team. Tomlinson
Yeah.
had just under 1,100 rushing yards, but he was second among all rookies in receiving yards with over 800. So that's
Yep.
really
He
nice
had
for a
a
running back.
Yeah, he had a nice all around season. For the wide receivers, we have Jonathan Thomas from the Chargers and Gabriel Barnett, another bright spot for the Buffalo Bills at the other wide receiver spot. So,
Yeah, it was
Stra-
nice to see Barnett still do stuff even though he had a different quarterback throwing to him every week.
yeah,
Um, and Jonathan Thomas really finished the season strong. We kind of looked at
yep,
the halfway point. I think my guy Jonathan Moses was leading the rookies at the halfway point of the year by a couple hundred yards, and Thomas had a really nice second half of the year to kind of overtake him. But
yep,
Herbert, I know this is a little off base, but Herbert had definitely had a better year this year than last year, and Thomas definitely benefited from that.
for sure. Yeah, so congrats to, Rebel, Lucha, Sean, and Phil for their players there. And then at tight end, Anthony Perez, which was a surprise to me because Perez was terrible early in the season. When we did, I think it was week 5 or 6, we did that questions podcast, and Perez was one of my biggest disappointments of the season.
Yeah,
So,
it. unfortunately, the rookie tight ends, there wasn't a whole lot out there. Perez had 690 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. So
Yep.
that was enough to get all rookie. So not a whole lot of production, but that could also be, because he's playing with a scrambler QB.
Yep.
Even though Knapp he had a nice year. He got some first team votes for all rookie QB, and rightfully so. He had a good year for a rookie as well. Led his team to the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
when you have that scrambler QB, at least in the case I'm speaking of with Lance, doesn't throw a whole lot. Knapp had 3,300 passing yards on the year, so just less targets to go around. So that could be part of it as well.
Yep. So congrats to Larry Vampire. The offensive line was an ugly, ugly position to pick again this year. This was kind of like that first year.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna go through the 4 guys, and then one guy had a really nice season. But Sam Fleck for the Chargers, Mitchell for the Eagles, Deshaun Charlton. I don't know who he plays for, and Matt Bennett for the Buffalo Bills. All gave up a bunch of sacks. But then Rogan for the
He plays for the
Giants.
Sorry. Yeah, I know who he played for.
He had a great season. He only gave up 1 sack. Like you could have made an argument for him as a second team guy. He just got beat out. So, offensive line is bad.
It is, especially the auto-generated guys. They just don't seem to play that well. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, if the Giants' offense had been a little better, you could definitely make that argument for second team, for sure, for Rogan. But I love this pick.
Yeah, we did.
Back in the draft by Monique. And
there's that. Okay.
What? Oh, you're I'm sorry, I forgot. Oh no.
All right. So congrats to everyone who had offensive linemen make the team. Moving on to the edges, we have 2 guys with very similar sounding names that caused some confusion in the All-Pro voting.
Yeah, so first we have Vernon for the Colts, and then Verdun for the Eagles. Both these guys had really solid seasons. You're probably thinking, what about the Lions rookie, the number 1 overall pick? First 3 games had 9 sacks. Well, he got hurt for a few games, and so that was a factor in deciding the all rookies. Both the other rookies played. I believe both of them played 16 games. It had almost equal stats. So that was a part of our thinking going into the vote. Just kind of rewarding those guys for, playing the entire season.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that after Woodard came back, he just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, for sure.
But we had a very similar situation last season with Hutchinson. Got hurt, and when he came back, just wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, so basically, if we really like one of your rookies, they'll probably start out really well and then get hurt and not do anything else. Yep. So, congratulations. Moving to the interior, we have Clint Williams for the Giants and Armstrong for the Steelers. So we have another Giants lineman on this list. Both these guys, had pretty good years. We were talking about this in the chat, but the rookie interior defensive lineman didn't have a whole lot of production, unfortunately, but that could also be because there's so many really good pass rushers in the league already that these young guys are just going to get overshadowed.
Yep, for sure. So congrats to Manick and Team Perp. And so moving to the off-ball linebackers, we have Whiteside for the Bears, and then Roach and Langford, who I'm not sure who they play for.
Yeah. By the time we got all this stuff done, guys, I was my wife had the Xbox for The Bachelorette, so I was not able to get on and look at these beforehand. So
Yeah,
I
I'll make
apologize
sure
for
I get
that.
the teams and when I post them.
Yeah.
But all these guys had really solid seasons. It was just it wasn't like last year where the rookies were overwhelmingly good as at off-ball linebacker, but these guys were solid and they've got a good base to build going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to
the ugliest position in
the corners, and I guess we'll do
safeties.
Yeah.
So, all of it together.
So same thing with the corners. I have no idea who these guys play for. We have Sutton and Smith.
Plays for the Jets. Plays for the Bills.
Oh, great. Another Bills guy, so congrats, Sean.
Yep.
For DB, we had Farrell.
Yeah, he played for the Cowboys.
And the safeties, we had Goodrich and Brennan. And I believe we said Brennan plays for the Browns.
Brennan plays for the Browns. Goodrich plays for the Eagles.
Okay.
So this was just there was one guy who stood out above all the other rookie DBs, but he's not on the rookie list. So, yeah, these guys just all kind of 1 or 2 interceptions, some decent tackle numbers, but nothing special from the rookie secondary guys.
Yeah, there's only one, but he's not on one of these lists because he's on a different list.
Yep.
Because he was all right, I guess. He
was all right. He was okay.
Yeah.
He's not playing so well right now, but
for the special teams, we have Flanagan. For the punter, no one said his name, so I literally just put Bills dude. So congrats for the Bills punter. Good, congrats, Sean.
Horan, maybe?
I don't know. Kick returner, I have Fields for the Rams. So congrats, Corb, and Bradford for someone in this league. Congratulations.
Yep.
So congrats to all the guys who got a rookie on the all-rookie team. We'll try to get those.
Maybe it was your Colts guy, Lee. Maybe it was. Maybe he is a Colts guy. I don't remember who he played for. At that point, I was getting ready to do some other stuff, so I'd kind of... but he may play for the Colts, Smith, the DB.
Yeah, we had no idea. It's a mystery.
Yeah. We will figure it out. I will make sure that everybody gets the proper upgrades and whatnot for their players. I will not mess that up. So, moving on to the second team. Starting at quarterback, making his second appearance as the second team quarterback, we have Russell Wilson for the Seahawks. Another really good season.
Yeah. He had a nice year. It was pretty much between him and Jordan Love. We gave the edge to Russ because of the I believe it was the more touchdowns and more rushing yards, even though Love had more passing yards. Every year in this league, Russ has been super solid. I think you said second time being on the second team QB for Russ, so much deserved. So good job, Russ. How old is Russ now in the league?
35, 36.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Russ is gonna have to start looking for another quarterback here in the next year or two.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Okay, moving on to the running back for second team, we have Joe Mixon for the Bengals. And I don't know if
another appearance on this list.
Yeah, I don't know if you played the Bengals this year, but me and Cirilio played. You did twice? Oh, because you played. Yeah.
Because I just played him in the playoffs.
Yeah, well,
so I'm very familiar with Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon is an animal. Like, that dude, you can't tackle him with one guy. Like, it's true. It's incredible.
Yep, he was on. You could have made a case for Mixon on first team.
For sure.
I just want to say that the running back numbers this season were absolutely insane. There was 8 guys that could have been considered, and that's not even including. Throw another fucking pick to Jesus Christ, man.
You're gone.
that's not even including Nick Chubb, who had 22 touchdowns, but only like 1,200 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's the guy I brought up while we were discussing running backs. I said, well, I mean, this guy's got 22 touchdowns on the year, and he's not going to make an all-pro team. So,
yeah, and he's 1,000, but he had 1,000 or 1,100 yards behind the next closest guy.
Yeah.
In terms of total yards, it was crazy. So yeah, and then the flex was J.K. Dobbins, a guy who we have strong opinions on not getting playing time, and now getting playing time, and he's an absolute monster.
Yeah, he got bumped up to superstar. I think it was about halfway through the year, I think, whenever we did that first scenario. It might have been more toward the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was like week 4 or 5.
Yeah. We've been talking, on the pod multiple times about how we thought, Dobbins should have been the guy all along, and he could have, if he got more playing time in the beginning, he could be one of the best backs in the league. But I mean, second team All Pro. You see why we were saying that. I mean, he had over 1,500 rushing yards, 20 touchdowns, and he added almost 600 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. So this guy's awesome. You got a good one. In Dobbins.
Yeah. Congrats to Mike and Cirilio. I know it doesn't take the sting out of the loss today, but at least now you get to watch the Patriots absolutely destroy the Dolphins. And yes, Ryan, you are correct. Sanders is better than Mixon. There's a reason that Sanders is in on the second team list.
Yep.
So moving on to the wide receivers, we have Scary Terry McLaurin out of Washington and Andy Isabella out of Arizona. Both these guys had really good years. Both of them had over 1,100 yards and, 8 to 10 touchdowns for the two of them. So really good season for these guys.
Yeah. Receiving yards as a whole in the league, I feel like are a little down, where I think they could be. The top guys are okay, but it feels like there's only, 8 guys who get over 1,000 receiving yards a year. Which is, unfortunate, but
yeah, hopefully the patch helps that. But
yeah, these guys were definitely deserving for sure, especially Isabella, who had 11 touchdowns, right?
Yep, 11 touchdowns. Yeah,
and of course Terry had a really nice year as well. Move on to tight end. So we got Evan Ingram from the Giants. So another guy for Monique. He had a really nice year. Evan Ingram tends to be pretty hit or miss in Madden. I've found, and I guess he got good Ingram for this league.
Yeah, he did. So congrats to Rebel, Roy, and Monique. Moving on to the offensive line, I'm again gonna run through it because it's Isaiah Wynn for the Patriots, Chase Roulier for the Washington football team, David Andrews for the Patriots, David DeCastro for the Seahawks, and some dude with the last name Fala Lee for the Chargers.
I like to think it's pronounced Falele.
Yeah, whatever. It's some weird name that the main reason he was picked was because there were 4 guys with the same numbers and he had the coolest name, basically. But yeah, offensive line, these guys gave up, the left tackle gave up 6, and everybody else gave up 1. So when you only give up 1 sack, you're gonna be on the list, more than likely. Because
moving on to
separate
what I thought was the deepest position.
Yeah,
which was the edge guys. We'll start with Montez Sweat with Washington, who would have made first team if he wasn't out 4 games, but he still had 20 sacks in 12 games. So that's just absolutely frightening. And then to go with them, we have Rashawn Gary from the
Yep.
Packers, who had another outstanding year.
Yep.
My guy, David Bowen for the Saints, I thought was a lock for a team because he had 20 sacks as well. And I looked at everybody and I was like, he still didn't do enough. So just to have
Yep.
I think someone put in the chat that there's 6 guys in the league with 20 plus sacks,
Yep.
which is
6 guys
just
with 20 plus sacks. Like Myles Garrett had 18 and a half and was like immediately thrown out.
yeah. The criteria was you had to at least had 20 sacks, pretty much. Um, so yeah, that position is
I
definitely
see
in a good
somebody's
spot.
mad that Jamar Chase didn't make the list.
Well, me and you fought for Jamar, but we were
Yeah.
overruled.
Yeah, we were. Yeah. It's he.
Hey,
It's a.
Jamar Chase had a really good year, and he was just short.
No, man did not make it with 11 sacks because Vernon and Verdon both had 15 and 13 sacks respectively. So man did not make it. Corb,
He was
the
close.
all rookie. I tried to sneak him into interior, but I was overruled
By the czar. Czar Cody wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
Direct all your complaints to Cody, please. Moving on to interior second team. So we have Fletcher Cox for the Eagles. I think Fletcher Cox has been on an all-pro team every year.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And then Tavon Bryant for the Jags. Not as good of an interior year this year as it was last year. Last year we had guys like Buckner who had like 22 sacks, I think, or something last year. So it was a little
Buckner.
bit...
Buckner had an all-time great year last year.
Yeah. Not as good of a group as it was last year, but you still have some capable guys like Cox, obviously, had another nice year. And then Tavon Bryant had a really good year himself. Not saying he didn't, but this class last year was a lot stronger. Okay. So moving on to the off-ball linebackers, which is always a very fun and lively debate among the all-pro chat. So for second team, we have Fred Warner again for the 49ers, CJ Mosley for the Saints, and Dante Hightower for the Bills. So congrats to myself, congrats to
Giovanni.
Sean, and congrats to Giovanni. These races are always super, super tight. And you could have definitely made an argument for all 3 of these guys for first team. Second team is still really good. Moving on to corners and DB, we have Darius Slay for the Eagles. We have
Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs, that's right. Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys, and Jonathan Jones for the Pats.
Yep. Really strong season for DBs outside of the rookie list.
Yeah.
But yeah, so congrats to Will, Cody, and no other one for your guys. So, and then the safeties, we have Eddie Jackson and Isaiah Simmons for second team.
Yeah, this was we didn't vote like this, but I'm calling this a makeup year because Simmons should have totally made it last year, and he didn't, because we have some members of the All-Pro committee want to claim that because Simmons plays sub linebacker, that should negate.
That's not what I'm claiming. That's not what I'm claiming. I'm just saying he's never going to have the interception numbers or any of the deflection numbers that some of the other safeties. So it's going to be hard for him to compete on those raw numbers. He'll put up way more tackles, but I just don't value tackles out of my safety as much as I do turnovers. So, but
Kyle also admitted to everybody he didn't want to vote for Simmons because he plays for Roy. So we're just throwing that out there.
That's not what I said. So congrats to Roy. Congrats to Spaz. Moving on to the special teams, we have Blake Howbile for the Packers, Bailey for the Patriots, Hawkins for the Patriots, and John Ross for the Bengals.
All right. Congrats everybody who had a guy on the all-second team. And it's time for the first team all-Patriot. Oh, sorry, all-pro.
Yeah.
We'll start
you make
out
that
with...
joke. You make that joke, and then the first guy on it is a Patriot.
We'll start with...
I think Cody had way less players on this list than last year, though.
Yeah, he did. So that's nice.
Yeah.
If we can continue that would be nice.
Yeah.
We'll start with Deshaun Watson again. Second year in a row, he's the first team All-Pro quarterback. He did, to be fair, he did double his interception total from last year. He went from 2 to 4. So,
geez.
We're at least moving in the right direction. If he can have 8 next year,
that'll be a nice total for everybody. Watson's great. Cody's got a really nice team around him, evidenced by the 34-0 beatdown I'm suffering right now. So moving on to the running back in the flex, let's talk about a man that was brought up earlier, and Miles Sanders as the first team.
Yes, sir. Love this guy.
Ended up top 5 in rushing, and also added almost 700 yards receiving or something.
Yeah, and this makes me really, really happy to see one of Ryan's guys succeeding. Just because, we went to it a few weeks ago just about his cap situation. I just feel bad for Ryan. I feel like his team's in kind of a tough spot financially. So it's nice to see his guys do stuff.
Yeah, Ryan's done a really nice job with that cap. So
yeah, and we'll go to the flex spot with Cam Akers.
From the Rams.
And I fought for this guy.
I put Dak on the second team and was quickly told that Dak is trash. And I was like, do it for the memes, though. So,
no.
Cam Akers had a great season.
He was awesome.
Put him in a position to succeed. I think having Jalen Hurts as another rushing threat really helped open up lanes for him. So congrats to Corb, congrats to Ryan on your runners getting on first team All-Pro.
Side note, do you think Corb will go back to Fournette next year? I bet he does.
I hope not. Moving on to the wide receivers, we have Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs as the first team All-Pro. Jalen Waddle as the first team All-Pro receivers.
You monster. I was going to do a similar joke. That's fine.
It was too easy.
I know.
It was too easy.
Yeah, these guys had really awesome years. Waddle especially. Really nice connection there in Detroit. Almost 1,400 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. Cooper has 1,200 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. So both these guys had, just great years. Couple of the lonely bright spots for the receivers in the league, I feel like.
Where's the rookie fullback? I don't know. Corb or Pode, I don't know. So congrats to Vince and congrats to no other one. Moving on to tight end, we have Clay's Cheesepool.
We shouldn't have let this guy move to tight end. This was a mistake.
But we did, so we have to live with our mistakes. Had a really nice year, something like 1,100 and something yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns. I'm gonna get out of this game real quick so I can stop being sad.
While you're doing that, first team All-Pro offensive line, we have Tyrone Smith for the Cowboys. We have Shaq Mason for the Pats. Second year in a row, first team all center, Marquise Pouncey this man has not allowed a sack in 2+ seasons, guys.
Yep.
2+ seasons.
The
Incredible.
man is like 100 years old and just doesn't give up sacks. So like death, taxes, and Marcus Pouncey not giving up a sack. Those are the guaranteeds in NFLGM. Jake Gordon for the Pats was a second teamer was an all rookie last year, makes first team, and then Spencer Leclerc, again, don't know who he plays for, but I will figure it out.
He plays for a team in the NFLGMLeague, so congrats. Congrats to all the guys who had first team all offensive linemen, mainly Cody. But congrats to Rebel and the others. So moving on to first team edge. So we have Shaq Barrett and Chase Young for edges. Washington just seems content on sending a different guy to first team every year for the defensive line. This year it was Chase Young.
He sent 2 this year.
I know. I meant for edge.
The edge.
Yeah. Chase Young, 21 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles. And I think Shaq Barrett ended up with 25.5 sacks or something, led the league in sacks.
Yep.
So, just absolute monsters. Interior, we have another Washington guy in Jonathan Allen, and then J.J. Watt for the Bengals. It's nice to see J.J. having a lot of success in Cincinnati. Really, Cincinnati as a whole. I know we'll probably talk about this later, but it was nice to see Cirilio's team really live up to their potential this season. I know they lost to you in the first round, but going 13-3, winning the division is no small feat. So congrats to Cirilio and congrats to Rebel and Larry.
Yep. And so moving on to the off-ball linebackers, we have Tremaine Edmonds for Buffalo, Deion Jones for the Falcons, and Roquan Smith for the Bears. Second year in a row for both Edmonds and Smith. Those dudes are absolute animals. Deion Jones had 252 total tackles and a bunch of tackles for loss.
Yeah, I honestly couldn't believe Deion Jones's stats, but to be fair, it's that Atlanta defense was on the field a lot this year,
right?
So that probably has a little bit to do with it, but all these guys are very deserving. For sure. Especially Deion. I think I'd also like to mention, I think this is Roquan's. Is this second or third year on first team All-Pro linebacker?
Second year. It's his and Tremon's second straight year.
That's right.
And Tremon has been on every All-Pro so far.
Jeez.
So, so moving on to another list of the corners have both been on the All-Pro list every single time. Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots and Trey White for the Bengals both make first-team All-Pro for the second year in a row. Gilmore had 13 interceptions. Trey White had 7. And then joining them as the flex DB is the only rookie DB who matters, JoJo Brewer.
Oh, yeah.
Just in comparison to the other rookie DBs, Vaughn Sutton was the only other rookie DB or corner with more than 1 interception, and he had 5 less than JoJo. JoJo had 7 interceptions, 4 returned for a touchdown, 2 sacks, 11 deflections. An
absolute monster.
So congrats to Cody, congrats to Cirilio, and congrats to me for...
Congrats to you, buddy.
The only player I got on the list this year.
Hey, just wait till next year. I think Tua is going to make it next year. I think he's finally going to break out.
Yeah, sure. Okay. You can keep telling yourself that. I just watched him play. Like, Tua's probably not going to be a Dolphin next year. I was almost convinced to give him another run, but yeah, that's not going to happen. So, moving on to the safeties, we have Antoine Winfield for the Bucks and Micah Hyde for the Niners. So, Micah had 7 interceptions. Winfield had 5. Great season for both of them again.
For sure. And to end it, we have with the special teams, we have Lambeau
For the Jags.
For the Jags, we have Morstead.
For the Saints, right?
Sure. I'll claim him. Why not?
No, I don't know. I
I'll
don't know
take
who he
another
plays
guy.
for.
Yeah, he plays for me for sure.
Does he not play for you? I swear that
I
was
don't
what
know.
the argument was.
I don't know.
I swear that was what the argument was.
I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah, he does. Hey, all right. That's nice.
Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure he plays because you kept saying he had no touchbacks.
That wasn't me.
22.
I wasn't even fighting for my own guy. I was just waiting for everybody else to decide so I can make the list.
Oh, all right. Well, somebody kept saying it. So then,
Kick returner, we had Mostert for the Colts, who had two touchdowns, like two kick return touchdowns, which getting one is rare in our league, but getting 2 is almost unheard of. So I feel like we should move Mostert to X Factor because of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe if I'm feeling nice.
And then to
that's not my dog. Those are my children.
your dog sounds different.
I know that. Go play. I know he's not sharing. I don't know what you want me to do about it. And then CMC for the Steelers made as the punt returner. So, yeah. Yeah, and that's the list, guys. Sorry, now I'm getting distracted by these children.
Are they fighting over the Switch again? You should just buy them all Switches. That fixes that problem.
Hey, guys, can you close that door, please?
Oh, just buy them all Switches.
I think just buy everybody's.
The Kyle tells his kid to go fetch. He can't buy them all Switch because of scalp airs. Why are people still scalping the Switches? Are they still insanely high?
Yeah, they don't have a Switch at the Walmart at the house.
Shoot,
and that's the only place in town.
I'll sell you my Switch for $575. I'll even pay for
man,
shipping.
I'm not spending $5. I'm not even getting that. That's a ripoff, though.
Oh man! So congrats to everybody who got a guy on the All Pro team.
Simmons was second team. Roy, I'm sorry.
Roy, I fought for Simmons. You can ask anybody.
Yeah.
Would you want to run through the how the divisions ended up real quick?
Yeah. We can talk like standings wise.
Yeah, just real quick.
Yeah.
Just I got the preseason stuff pulled up from what everybody sent in, so just to see how things actually shook out to what we thought it would be.
So the Bengals ended up first in the division in the North. And the Browns second, and Steelers and Ravens. It was a competitive division. I mean, all three of everybody was in running for a playoff spot, even up till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned it earlier. It was nice to see Cirilio's team have a nice year, and kind of, I think we said at the beginning of the year, if they don't do really well this season, then he might have to think about, hitting the reset button a little bit. But going 13-3 was awesome, especially in a competitive division. So congrats to Cirilio. Looking back at the preseason stuff, a majority of people had the Bengals. I won't do everybody's. I'll do me and you. Me and you had the Bengals winning this division. Yep. So that was nice.
And Cody wants to know, how did the Patriots lose in the playoffs? I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Will
I don't
beat
know.
you 42-41 on some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah,
All right.
he's definitely making it through the AFC because the
Yeah,
Bengals are
we're
out.
yeah, everybody like the Bengals getting beaten the weirdest game of the season by uh the Dolphins was a shock to the system. So moving on to the AFC South, where somehow the 6-10 Colts beat out the 6-10 Jaguars.
What is this?
Uh,
This is
I'm gonna
gross.
they literally outside of the Texans, every team in the division went 4-2. So they all just beat up on the Texans and split with each other, basically.
That's
Like
amazing.
they all just took the Texans out back and just kicked the shit out of them, and then like we're like, all right, I'll let you win this one. I mean, 5-11, 6-10, 6-10. Nobody with a positive point differential, but the Colts did win, and I believe that was the early season prediction by both you and I.
Yeah, we both picked the Colts.
So 2
This
for 2.
team,
That's
yeah,
not gonna.
yeah,
That's not
this
gonna
team's going to
hold.
look a lot different next season with, for those that forgot, the Lamar Jackson trade that's
Oh, I didn't
happening
forget.
in the offseason.
I've been writing
Um,
state of the franchise stuff, and I had to be
yep,
reminded about it.
yep.
Mike sent me a message and was like, "Don't forget, I don't have Lamar," and I was like, "I know." That'll be a big part of your state of the franchise.
What
So,
if Lamar retired? That would be funny. Oh
I mean,
man.
he's not eligible. I'm not going to do that to Lee. So
I
moving on to the
guess.
East, the Patriots won. I believe we both picked the Patriots. I might have picked. No, I think I did pick the Patriots, right?
Oh yeah. This is the
Um,
only one that went unanimous. Everybody picked the
uh,
Patriots.
Patriots went 15-1 with their one loss being a week 1 loss to the
The
juggernaut
Vikings.
that is the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
But this division played out a lot closer in 2 and 3 than I think either of us would have thought at the beginning.
yeah. It really hurt when Poe decided to kind of dismantle his team a little bit,
Yep.
trading Quentin Williams to Seattle. But I honestly thought this division would be the Pats at like 13-3 and the Jets at like 12-4 or 11-5, and then
Yep.
yourself and Sean kind of duking it out at the bottom. But it ended up being a really competitive division, which is honestly
Yeah.
really fun to see.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. I mean, outside of Sean, who beat I don't even know who, but 1-15 with a negative 182. I'm sorry, I was gonna say 82, a negative 182 score. That means that he got beat by at least 10 in every game he played.
That's incredible.
Um,
Congratulations, Sean. And yeah,
yeah,
Sean's going to
good
have a
job.
big decision to make this offseason with what he wants to do with the first overall pick. So that's going to be
Roll
fun.
out
And
the Eric King. Do not waste it on a quarterback, man.
I
Um,
don't think he's going
yeah.
to.
Chiefs. So AFC West, the Chiefs won. You picked the Chiefs. I picked the Chargers.
Come on, goat. Yeah. Yeah. I think the most surprising thing to me is the Broncos at 7-9.
Yeah.
Um, I I just think the Broncos' talent is I think they underperformed a little bit. I don't know if it's just the scheme and playbook combination or what, but I would expect this Broncos team to bounce back next year because they have a lot of young pieces on offense that are good. So I would be surprised if they came in last in the division again because the Raiders should be finishing better than the Broncos.
No, the Raiders at 8-8 was a surprise for
Yeah.
sure. I was gonna say I had more wins than the Raiders, but we finished the same, so I can't even say that. Like,
Yeah. Also, just shout out to Phil. He had a nice bounce back year as well.
yeah,
Going 8-8.
for sure, for sure. So moving on to the NFC North, we both picked the Packers.
Yeah. I think someone got cute and picked the Lions. I think.
I
No,
think
someone
somebody
picked the
picked the
Vikings.
Vikings.
Yeah, Vince
Yeah,
picked the Vikings.
yeah,
Yeah, this division kind of shook out the way we thought it would. You
yep,
had the Bears started off good and then faded. Will's team obviously was really good. The Vikings weren't great, even though they beat the Patriots week 1. And then you
Yep.
had Vince's team, who was the worst team last year. I think he had 2 wins, 2 or 3, and he had 4 this year. So an improvement. Arguably could have had, the NFC Rookie Defensive Player of the Year if Woodard doesn't get hurt. So he's got a few building blocks to go from, and he traded for Josh Jacobs. So his offense is at least going to keep him in games. He would be one. I wouldn't be surprised if he was super aggressive this offseason, was trying to get some help on defense, either in free agency or via trade.
Yeah. So moving on to the South, where the Buccaneers surprisingly won. I think everybody picked the Panthers. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think 2 people picked the Saints and everybody else picked the Panthers. So we were both wrong on this one.
Yep. Yep.
Knapp was really good for a rookie. Larry.
Yeah, a lot better than
really good one.
Than we could have expected coming into the season.
Yeah. Was really good. That and then another guy that we didn't even talk about for All Pro, but Ronald Jones had a really good year. And he couldn't even sniff the top, I would say 7 or 8 of guys in the league.
Oh yeah, no.
What really sucks is for Kevin is that Baker lost Scrambler because Madden boned him out of it. So
yeah.
I think he's
it's
still
unfortunate.
I think he's still field general, which really sucks. Hopefully he can.
Me.
Yeah, hopefully he can get it back next season.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I'm sure Kevin will also make some big swings this offseason, like he does every year.
I'm sure if we've seen Kevin do anything, it's swing for the fences.
Yeah. And then you have my team at 7-9. This was kind of disappointing because I started off 3-1, and I thought, maybe my team is getting ready to take the lead. But lost a few in a row. I think I finally have a good playbook and scheme for Trey Lance. So we'll see moving forward. And then you have the Falcons.
For sure.
Then you have the Falcons, who has an aging roster. Matt Ryan is going to regress again, and he already wasn't that great this season. So he would be one I would be surprised if he didn't have a different quarterback, whether bring in a different vet or draft one of the rookies.
Yeah. So moving on to the East, Washington won this division. They had a really good team. They have a really good team.
Yeah, we both picked the Cowboys for this division. Honestly, this division was super competitive as well. Only 3 wins separating first team and the Giants at 8-8. Yeah, who do you feel the worst for in this division?
I would probably say Ryan.
Yeah, I agree. I do too.
Manick is pretty close second, though, because he had some fumbles start up after the tackle slider, so I feel for him.
Yeah.
But this division, is going to be... It's going to be interesting to watch going forward with Sharp's development.
Yeah, and we'll finish it off with the NFC West, everybody's favorite division. Once again, this year was super fun out west. We both picked the 49ers because we both thought Chris would still be running this team, but after Giovanni came in, switched up a little bit. Purdy.
So I'm going to, there was some talk earlier by Roy in the CM chat about Purdy being bad in live sims, and I think it's because Giovanni's running 49ers offense in scheme. I think that he hasn't made any changes to it.
Yeah.
Which, is not the best for a guy like Purdy. So
for sure. And I'm sure Giovanni will figure that out and hopefully switch in the off season. But
Yep.
this division is going to be really interesting moving forward, especially with the Seahawks, who have Russ, who's going to be 35, 36 going into next season.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at what he is.
And then you have, you know, two teams in the Cardinals and Rams who are pretty similar. Roy has a ton of picks coming down the pipeline in the next
34.
years.
He'll be 34, so
34. So he has
still
probably next year. Next year and the year after is still being pretty good with Russ.
I think he's next year will be his last year under contract, so he's going to have to give him a huge deal to keep him. So yeah. The West is going to be an interesting division next year. We've got to see what Hurts can do for another season if he can keep up. Or, is Roy going to be able to maintain his team going forward? He's got a lot of guys who are going to come up for contract in the next year or two.
Yeah.
So.
Thankfully, at least Roy can replace them with rookies with all his draft picks. I don't know what... I mean, Corb's going to do something. He brought in a couple of guys this offseason to make his team a lot better. And he'll do the same this offseason. But
yeah.
I'm really interested to see what this division does in the offseason.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if Giovanni traded a couple of his guys in the offseason. I know he thought about trading some guys when he first got into the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made more of an effort to maybe do that this offseason to try to get some more picks.
Yep. So looking at the playoffs just going forward, we the two blowouts in the first games with the Patriots blowing out the Dolphins 34-0 and the Packers blowing out the Cardinals 59-10.
Oof.
So who do you think wins the next games? Browns, Jets, Washington, Seahawks.
Well, I know Jets Browns is already live.
Yep.
I would probably say Pode. I would give the edge to Pode. I think just because do you trust Tom Brady? Do you trust 78 overall Tom Brady or Dak more? I guess I'll give it to Dak, but I know Pode constantly complains about Dak. So, and then Washington versus Seattle. Oh gosh, I don't know.
I'm taking Washington.
You are? I'm going to take Seattle.
I'm going to take Washington just because I don't think Seattle's offensive line can hold up against that front four for an entire game.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And the Seahawks are always a weird one in the playoffs. Like, I'm honestly surprised they didn't get bounced in round one against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't have been surprised by that either. But the Seahawks at home, I would really like to see what this rookie does for Washington for another game, just because it's going to be really tough going into Seattle. But that's going to be a fun one. That's definitely the best playoff game so far, I think.
Yeah, and I think that we can go ahead and I think that our Super Bowl pick is going to be Patriots-Packers, right? Like, maybe Seahawks. If it's Seahawks, maybe they can beat them, but I just don't know.
What about Pats? What about Pat Washington?
I would like that, except I think that rookie gets eaten alive by that Patriots secondary.
Yeah.
I think so too. I think Jonathan Jones and Gilmore are too good. But, I mean, Love also hasn't... He played the Patriots earlier this season and lost, so it's really interesting to see. Cody asked earlier how he's going to lose, but I don't know if he does.
I don't either. I think the only way he loses is if
there's some injuries.
Yeah,
but it's got to be the right.
Yeah,
it's got to be the right player. Like a Watson injury ends Cody.
Yeah. Well, I would
'Cause-
say turnovers, but Watson just doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Like unless he fumbles it while running or something. But other than that, unless Hawkins fumbles or one of his receivers fumbles, like to me, the only way Cody gets beat is if a team like Seattle or Washington scores like 14 points on defense.
So he is going to be missing Twyman for the rest of the playoffs.
I
He
mean,
gets Diggs back next season
I don't even think that
or
matters,
next week.
man.
I don't either, but I'm trying to give people some hope.
Yeah.
The people need some hope that the evil empire isn't gonna
Yeah,
run
I
wild.
don't.
Yes, I said next season. I meant next week, Cody.
I don't
So,
know. In the off season we need some. We
need some people not to trade with Cody. If you guys could go ahead and do that.
We need some freaking AFC teams to start stocking up on players. We need some teams to make a leap next year.
Yeah, Twyman's out for 5 weeks. I was hoping that both him and Uche were out, but they weren't. Yeah, well, hopefully you guys let some guys go out of the NFC and I can sign them up with my cat space. But again, Tua's still on the block, so maybe somebody will just fall in love with him.
Somebody will. Somebody will convince themselves that they can fix Tua. All right. Well, we got anything else? You want to talk about anything else before we head out of here?
Yeah, no, I don't got anything, man.
Okay.
I guess depending on when the playoffs finish and the draft happens, we'll have a podcast.
Yeah, we'll do. I think the next one would be like a free agency recap / mock draft.
Mock draft.
Yeah, this is we're getting into my favorite stretch of the Madden.
Yep.
Our Madden season's going from the off season to the draft to the beginning of next year. I love these next two podcasts.
Yeah, it's the part where I feel hope for a short amount of time.
I know I'm going to come on and tell you all how I'm going to make a run at the NFC South next year, and it's going to be great. And I'm going to start out 0-4.
Hey, fuck off, Pode. Ugh.
Pode, I'm never going above 500 ever.
Look, if you guys weren't around for Sam's excellent Madden 19 GM skills where he never made it above 500, but he would start out like 5-0 every year, and we would all get I'm going to do it this season. And then by the end of the cycle, he was like, it doesn't matter. We're still going to lose.
I hated Madden 19. Madden 19 not great, and it didn't help. I kept trading back, and I would just trade all my good players to Cody.
Yeah, you were the inventor of the trading all the best players.
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry, guys. I created the empire.
So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for tonight. So, I'll get. After I finish State of the Franchise stuff tomorrow and whatever, on Saturday I'll probably start doling out some upgrades for the All-Pro stuff. So
Yeah. All right. Good luck to everybody else that is still in the playoffs. Congrats to everybody that had a guy on one of the All-Pro or All-Rookie teams. And we will see y'all in a couple of days.
Yep.
Peace.
Later.